You unwrap a piece of candy, drop it onto your tongue, and before you even swallow it, your brain already knows exactly what's coming. That tiny moment feels completely ordinary. You've done it hundreds, maybe thousands of times, but hidden inside that very first taste is an instinct so ancient it existed long before candy, long before sugar, and even before civilization itself. Your tongue isn't reacting because someone taught you to love sweetness. It's reacting because evolution did. For millions of years, finding something sweet could mean the difference between surviving or starving. Which leads to a question almost nobody has ever asked. When did ancient humans first start eating sugar? The answer isn't what most people think, because the very first sweetness humans ever tasted didn't come from sugar at all. The first humans didn't wake up one day and discover sugar. They discovered something much simpler, sweetness. And it was already hiding in the landscape around them. Ripe fruits could contain natural sugars. Some berries were sweet. Certain plants stored sugars in their roots or other tissues. And then there was honey, a concentrated source of sweetness that required no farming, no factory, and no knowledge of chemistry. But there was a reason sweetness mattered. Our ancestors were constantly making decisions about food. Is it safe? Is it worth eating? Will it give me energy? Taste could provide one small clue. Sweetness often pointed toward foods containing carbohydrates, and carbohydrates could provide energy. That doesn't mean ancient humans understood any of this. Their brains didn't need to. They simply needed to recognize useful food when they encountered it. That ability wasn't created by candy. It wasn't created by refined sugar. It came from a much older world, a world where finding food could take hours and sometimes much longer. But there is something even more interesting. The human love of sweetness didn't begin with modern humans. The biological machinery behind sweet taste is far older. Our distant ancestors already had the ability to detect sweet compounds. So by the time early humans were searching for food, the basic system was already there. And that changes the question. We don't really need to ask when humans first learned to like sugar. They didn't. They inherited a system that made sweetness worth noticing. But then humans discovered something that changed the story. They could concentrate it. Sugarcane changed what sweetness could become. Humans could crush the plant and extract its sweet juice. But extracting juice wasn't the same as producing the white crystals we recognize today. Turning sweetness into a concentrated, portable product required knowledge, tools, and generations of experimentation. That process developed much later than our first encounters with naturally sweet foods. And this is where the story takes its biggest turn. For most of human history, sweetness came attached to something else. A fruit, a plant, honey. You had to find the food before you could get the sugar. Then humans learned to separate the sweetness from the food itself. Sugar could be concentrated, stored, transported, and eventually traded over enormous distances. Something that was once scattered through nature became something humans could deliberately produce. But there was still one problem. Our ancient brains had never experienced anything like the modern world of sugar. The occasional sweet fruit was one thing. A concentrated source of sweetness was something completely different. And modern candy takes that concentration even further. One small piece can deliver a level of a sweetness that would have been difficult for most of our ancestors to encounter naturally. So when you taste candy today, Your brain is responding to something extremely old, using a system built for a very different world. And that brings us back to the question, when did ancient humans first start eating sugar? If we mean natural sugars, the answer reaches deep into our evolutionary history. There probably wasn't a single first human who tasted sugar. Our ancestors encountered it naturally in foods long before anyone knew what sugar was. But refined sugar is a much more recent chapter. It came after humans learned how to take a sweetness from nature and concentrate it. So the strange truth is this: humans didn't invent the desire for sweetness. We inherited it. Then we invented ways to make sweetness far more available than evolution ever intended. And that tiny piece of candy in your hand is the modern result of an appetite that began millions of years ago. The taste feels ordinary, but the instinct behind it is ancient. And if you want to uncover more hidden stories behind the things we experience every day, stay curious with a stick theory.